Morning everybody, to anybody that might actually be watching this, just out again, usual morning walk with Rex the dog. Rex, come say hi. There he is there, he's a boy, good lad. Along the river, I went out just the back of 7, usually try and go out as early as possible. Sun's coming up a lot earlier, so I can get out at a good time. Don't usually meet anybody, so I take this opportunity, make a video. Still not that comfortable making videos around people, and prefer to do it more with the dog. I'll just heard some news. There's a major conference this week. IMF, the International Monetary Fund, is holding a conference. It's all the countries in the world, representatives of 180, because they represent monetary policy for 180 countries. They're getting together, I think, tomorrow to discuss this crisis. Apparently, globally, there's been $8 trillion already conjured up from nowhere to support the current debt-based system. And we've seen that last week with the stock market pumping and having its best week since 1938 in the Great Depression, even though unemployment figures are skyrocketing. So there's millions unemployed, and the stock market still goes up. So that's a sign of a lot of the money getting pumped in to keep the bubble going. The normal person in the street is not seeing this money. Funnily enough, that the big corporations can access it really quickly, but anybody like a small business person like myself trying to access furloughed workers' pay, we have to pay them this month, and then we have to claim it. So you have to physically have the cash flow to pay your workers, and we're not getting any money in, so we don't have any cash flow. So we have to use capital reserves, which we may or may not have. Otherwise, our workers don't get paid this month. And then how long do we wait to claim it back? Still waiting on a grant. The grant coming in for, it's a bit of a tangent from IMF, but I'll continue with this. Still waiting on the grant coming in. There's a £10,000, well, came up to £25,000 rates relief grant. And the two businesses that I've got both qualify for 10,000. They're under the rateable value. I applied for them as soon as this scheme came out, on the very day it came out a few weeks ago. Haven't had the cash in the bank yet, and there's a bit of a problem with the loan scheme. The government's now not taking personal guarantees apparently for the 20%, because why should we sign a personal guarantee for 20% of a loan? It's the government's that's caused this problem. They've managed to put us in lockdown. They're bailing out the big boys so they can take the hit if something goes wrong. But like I said in the previous video, it's fine, we can go and borrow money if we've got a sound borrowing principle, which how can you have one? Economic uncertainty. IMF declared a world recession. In fact, they've said this is going to be the worst period in history since the Great Depression in the 1930s, and it'll be worse. Going by the figures, the unemployment figures, is going to be massively worse, and it's going to hit. Bigger countries can print their way out of it, create more debt, but the smaller countries, they're going to have a massive problem. Some of them will go bankrupt probably, and world economic growth is negative now. And it was predicted to be positive 3 months ago, so it's switched. And these countries are going to really, really suffer. They don't have the infrastructure, and they don't have the cash behind them. So the IMF will have to lend them it, where they've got $1 trillion in reserve, and they need apparently looking for several trillion more to keep it going. So they're meeting tanks today to discuss this, what's going on, how they're going to move forward. But we are, as a business owner, I'm looking to try and keep. Well, you decide, do you want to keep the business going? Is it better just to turn the key and close it down, rather than keep at it? And a lot of people will. A lot of business owners will just say, no, it's not worth it. We don't have the money. Boom, we're shut. And I think you'll have over the next 6 to 12 months, I think a lot of businesses will if they open back up after this, will be closed. Whether they've got the money or not, even if they have borrowed the money, they won't be able to pay it back. You just can't borrow money you don't have an income stream for. If you didn't have the cash flow before and you were tight, you're not going to have it after this. I'm in the sort of construction industry, welfare services industry, and motor vehicles, car sales, used car sales. And obviously both near enough shut down. Used car sides could be killed for this. Not too much of luckily don't have a fleet yards full of a few year old used stock, 3 to 5, 10-year-old stuff. I don't do that. I'm into the sort of classics and modern classics, so I'm fortunate that stock I've got is not depreciating. That's the major problem if you've got a number of cars. I used to have a site with 60 cars on it, between 3 and 10 years old at one point. And if I had 60 cars sitting there depreciating at anything from maybe £50 a month to £500 a month, then if you do the math on that, it's several £1,000s every month that you're losing. And you could rapidly turn in to your cars going from having small profit margin in them, because used car dealers don't make a big amount of money if you do it correctly. It's very hard to buy good cars and make decent money out of it. Then you suddenly find you've no profit and all your cars are worth what you paid for them. So you've got to sell them all to get your money back to go and buy more. But that takes time, so you can see the knock-on effect. And a lot of these guys run stocking loans, which are quite high interest. And these guys that run the stocking loans, a lot of them they'll just take your cars and that's it. You're done. So that's one industry that's devastated. Well, as hotels, there's a hotel, New Lanark Hotel across the road from here in the mill, that's closed. So all that, will they survive? And we're not sure where they will be about. So what can you do? It's a lot of hassle being in business. You're having to worry about things. And to be honest with you, if there's not enough of a financial reward, you get out. I know people say it's not all about the money, but it is in a way. Money makes the world go round, greases the wheels, allows you to do so many things. Having freedom, having enough money, allows you to go around the world if you want, help somebody. You can go and create your own foundation and charity. You can, if you've got money. So I'm firmly a believer that you need to be financially independent and earn as much money as you want if you're capable. And I think most people are capable of creating more wealth than they are working for an employer. Certainly be it for me, because our company's not, we're paying drivers' wages, we're paying just above minimum wage, and we pay real living wage plus a bit. And even then, that's sometimes more than the market pays. So the wages aren't going to go up. I mean, just for an example, we hire out portable toilets as one of our services, and the rate hasn't went up in 10 years. In fact, it's went backwards in some cases. So how can you keep, with all the costs increasing in 10 years, how can you still stay in business in an industry that they won't put prices up though? In a way it's been created by the people that have come in the industry and decided to cut rates. So there's profit margins. If you're doing 8 to 10% in our industry, you're doing well. And 8-10% is rubbish. It's not worth bothering about. For instance, if you're buying and selling online, which I do some of, Amazon, eBay, you'll probably get 25% plus, maybe even 50% profit margins, with no hassle. Probably no employees as well. Maybe one or two, a virtual assistant to help you manage it. Usually these are from the Philippines. and you can pay them $5 an hour, and they're getting more money than they would in any other job. And you can maybe have one other person helping if you're shipping stuff out. Benefits of Amazon, or if you've got Prime, you get them to ship it and pack it. So there are ways of getting out of this, but I would imagine the majority of the people will be a small portion that will use their time well and decide to make something of these few weeks sitting in the house, but I'd imagine the mass majority won't, because everybody I speak to, all it is about the virus and speaking out what's happening, what we're doing, concerned about the TV, watching the news. All my mum does is watch the news. Sits in front of the TV, watches daytime TV and watches the news, and buys into it all. Buys into all this paranoia and fear. And that just snowballs, it just cascades. So everybody's... I think when people come back from this, they'll be wearing masks, they'll be naturally wanting to distance from other people. The measures, if they're relaxing anytime soon, will not be cut right off. So we've got a good time yet to see how this is going to develop. But the IMF, the guys at the top, who are above all the central banks, they're saying it's going to be the worst since, well, nobody will be able to remember worse, because of the Great Depression, very many people were alive at that point. And all the numbers are pointing to it being massively worse than it is just now, and this is only the beginning. Economically, this is just a little blip. It's going to get a lot worse than this. So get prepared, and if you've got a business, then seriously think about it. If you're an employee, try and start up a business. If you've got a business, do you want to open it again, or is it better to turn the key and go, nope, that's it? Because anybody that wants to try and sell a business, or try to sell one now, it's probably worth half of what it was just before the crisis in a lot of sectors. And if you keep it going just to say, well, I'll sell it on, you could be fighting a losing battle. Sometimes you've got to protect what you've got and move from there. But I definitely think online, creating your own business, online sales, having something a service you can provide people, so some value. If you can provide value and a solution, then you will do okay. And there's plenty of resources to learn about these things. That's how I did it. I just used resources online, took a course, learn how to sell on Amazon, learn all the because I'm still learning. We still learn every day new things. And it definitely creates that kind of freedom and a buzz when you sell something. When you get a notification that you sold something, it's great. Just like the buzz of selling a car, it's that high. You've done something, you've achieved something, made some money, and it's your money. If you're doing this for yourself, you just say you pay your taxes. Actually, well, you don't. If you write everything off, then you don't need to pay taxes. Most big companies pay zero taxes or very little, because they'll write their expenses off against the business, so they'll pay nothing. If you're an employee, you automatically get the tax, the national insurance taking out, and as an employer, we pay employers' national insurance as well. You don't have to pay any national insurance if you are working for yourself, because that's for your state pension, and what's that worth? Nothing. So I don't pay national insurance. I've opted out of national insurance. I don't pay that. I just sort my tax out and make sure I pay very little tax, because everything's a business expense. So there are massive opportunities to be had in the right field. At the moment, if you're an employee, you're in the real economy where inflation can take hold, especially with all this money getting printed. When it hits the pockets, people's pockets, there'll be massive inflation. Whereas in the financial economy, which is the stock market, investing, the money I pump in the stock market doesn't really affect the real economy, inflation-wise. It just goes essentially to keep the bubble going. And you want to be in the financial economy. You want to have your own business. You want to trade the market, and take responsibility for your life, your health, your well-being, your happiness, and not generally. Certainly, let's swim in the opposite direction. Let's not go in the same direction as everybody else. Let's go in the opposite direction. So have a good day, everybody, and hopefully I'll enjoy the sunshine. See you tomorrow.